You're going to have to teach that kid one day.
That should get everybody. We'll see how it works. But y'all ready to go live?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, we're recording.
Welcome back to the Miller Martial Arts Podcast. I say welcome back. I don't know if this is going to be episode 1, 2, or 3, but we're somewhere in there. I'm here with Cooter.
What up?
And Joe.
Hey. We've got 8 hours to drive back to Georgia.
We're on our way back to Georgia from an awesome weekend trip to Coconut Creek, Florida, where we got to watch our good friend Sal Guerrero competed in his professional debut as a mixed martial arts fighter representing American Top Team HQ. He became victorious in that bout, unanimous decision, won all 3 rounds, dominant performance. Congratulations to Sal. We just had a lunch with him, and he saw us on our way out of town. We got to go to American Top Team West Palm Beach. I got to see my longtime coach, Marcos Pajumpina de Mata. He had a belt ceremony on Saturday morning. We got to have awesome Saturday training afterward, just a whole room full of upper belts. It was hot, humid. It was sick training for a Saturday. And then what else did we do? We went out to the Rebel House.
Went and ate, had a great meal.
Yeah, awesome meal. Rebel House in Boca Raton. It's been around for a while. They just told us that they just swapped owners, but it's still same great food, good service, reasonable price for the quality of the food. So if you're ever in Boca, check that place out.
You can wear sandals.
Yeah. And then this morning we got to do a phenomenal podcast with my brother, Micah Miller. Make sure you check that out. He goes deep into some highs and some lows, and he was very willing to talk about those in depth. A lot of people kind of put up a facade, and they fake it till they make it, and they're so happy to be here. It was so great to fight for you, but they don't really give you a in-depth look at who they are or how they felt or what their life was like coming up. And he holds no bars, no holds barred.
Yeah. It was cool though. Like, you don't really, usually you get snippets of people's experience or past or whatever, but like he had the opportunity to kind of open up, and it was laid in front of him. And then he was like, yeah, I'll just explain to you exactly how I felt. Because I got into a shitty situation, and then it got worse, and now I'm back, and I'm ready to die doing this. So it was cool.
Yeah.
It was a cool perspective.
So you guys check that out. And now we have 8 hours left. So let's start with the fight. Sal's fight. Pretty amazing, right?
Yeah, it was great. Like, he came up and trained with us for 3 weeks and showed us a lot of stuff, and it's awesome having him. Awesome to see him in his pro debut come back from being our instructor and stuff, and then actually see him step in the cage and perform the way we knew he would.
And the backstory on Sal and how I know Sal and how we know Sal at Miller Martial Arts is, when I was training at the HQ, and I got there in like 2005, 2006, not long thereafter, I would jump in the regular people classes, not the professional only classes. So at nighttime, I'd just put the gi on or no gi, or just jump into a striking class, meet some people, share some martial arts, just get some extra reps and be able to try to perform some of the newer techniques that I was learning, especially through grappling on some other people. It's hard when you're just going against the pros all the time. And in that, Sal was in the kids program. He is the nephew of the general manager of American Top Team, Richie Puma Guerrero, and him and his brother Ben are both black belts, and Sal was in the kids program, and I got to train with him and roll with him when he was a child. And I just got to watch him grow up in the gym. Not a lot of people are fortunate enough to be able to grow up inside American Top Team in Coconut Creek, but he did, and obviously his skills got good, and he's a sick little wrestler. He placed at the ADCC North American Trials, so he's a hell of a grappler. He's training striking with Steve Bruno, who's one of the best kickboxing coaches out there. And whenever I this past year got to go out to the Air Force Academy at the Center of Excellence to do a combatives master instructor combatives training course, I was trying to think of some guys that would be good to bring in, and I was thinking about my brother Micah, who I've already had him in to teach for a little while at the school, but he was unavailable. He was in Los Angeles, and he was like, unfortunately, I just make more money not teaching in your school,
not being there in Georgia.
So I couldn't fight him too much on that one. I couldn't pay him enough to just get him to come in from LA. But the number 2 guy I thought of was Sal, and I didn't get to train with him on this trip, but all the students said that he was awesome. Made an impact in the short 3 weeks that he was there. Showed some good front headlock stuff, showed some cool takedowns. His wrestling's awesome. The kids' classes really enjoyed having somebody like him around. And go ahead and talk about like his trip a little bit at the school, Joe. You got to train with him a good bit.
It was good. It was cool because he, it's kind of like when you go to another school and you're kind of learning a different technique, or you got somebody that comes in and you're just not used to it. You're not used to the flow. You're not used to what it is, but it's kind of like a breath of fresh air. It's just different, and it's cool to see somebody else's perspective on something that we're all involved in. And he taught a lot of front headlock stuff. He's like a little pit bull, like we saw on Friday. But
for those of you that want to see that bout, you can go to UFC Fight Pass. It was part of an event called M1 Global. The Russian-based promotion did an event here in Pembroke Pines, Florida. It's M1 Global Road to M1 is the name of the event. Or you can type his name in, Sal Guerriero, and you'll be able to find his bout. Go ahead.
Yeah, he taught like things that stuck with me were sweeps from the closed guard, and like I said, the front headlock position. That's kind of where my game's kind of going towards. So a lot of that stuff, I picked his brain a lot, and very receptive. It wasn't like, oh, dude, these dudes, they just want to fucking talk. Like, he was like on the mat there, very approachable, just all around good guy. Like, wanted to hang out with him, just continue to pick his brain. But like even his wrestling, like mat returns and things like that in the MMA classes, the upper level classes, was just on par. And
I was just about to ask that, what all he got into we have an MMA class for those of our students that are interested in learning mixed martial arts. I tell my students, you got to have martial arts to mix before you can mix martial arts. So once you get the rank of green belt, which is kind of like what we have in between white belt and blue belt, and then we have once you've been cleared hot, that you can start sparring from our striking program too, then I let you start to train in the MMA class. And for those of our members that are in the ultimate program and they have checked those other 2 boxes with the green belt and the level 2 striking, then they're allowed to come into that class. But what ought he get into?
My takeaway from it was, either shoot for the single or double, and then work your way to the back. And then the mat return was that, I think they call it like the Minnesota. It's like that chair sit style.
Yeah.
But that was like his favorite thing. But like giving good details, like, extend your leg all the way out instead of like just dropping to a knee and trying to chair sit them.
Mm-hmm.
So they have something to fall over if they do kind of counter. That, and then like loves the spiral ride. Cool stuff like that. Just, little things that I didn't pick up on, or, me not having a wrestling background is like, oh shit, that's accessible. And that to me, somebody actually coming in my size in our school, is crazy.
Yeah.
So
he's a bantamweight, 135 pounds. Just watching him in there, the level of control he had inside the closed guard and the half guard reminded me a lot of watching Mike Brown do his thing. And he had Coach Mike, who many of you know, got MMA Coach of the Year this past year. So it's cool to see that the training with Mike is paying off, because you can definitely see the style crossover. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's what I was telling Cole when we were watching the fight. I was like, when you watch these fighters come out and then their pro debut and stuff like that, like, level of coaching is on point. But like when you looked over and he came out, it's like, oh, there's Mike Brown. Oh, there's Steve Bruno. Oh, there's Steve Mako. Like, I mean, the names of names were standing over there cornering him. And then like in the crowd, like, oh, there's Conan. Like, holy shit, and just the level and it really shows. It really goes to show like top team's commitment to everybody, and these guys that are on TV every Friday and Saturday night and in the gym every day, they're coming out on like Sal's pro debut, and it was awesome.
Yeah, and we just had lunch with him, and he was in good spirits. It always feels good to get the win, get that show money, get that win money when you're an up-and-coming, struggling pro fighter. And, they say no rest for the wicked, or is it the weary? Which one is that? I can't remember.
I think it's both.
Okay. Yeah, I think you say both.
Well, regardless, you guess where he's going to be on Monday? Back in the gym. He's going to be doing things smart. He's not going to be sparring the Monday after the fight, but he's going to get back to working on those skills, because he's got the humility. He understands that he's nowhere where he ultimately wants to be, and or who he wants to become. So the only way he's going to be able to get to that level is to keep training. So he didn't take any damage really, so he'll be back in the gym on Monday getting after it. So it's cool to see that attitude. It makes me feel like reinvigorated and young to be around highly motivated individuals like that.
What type of training do you normally jump into, Cole, for like when
Like
you
after?
go Monday, like that Monday after, if you were like in his shoes, what would be your like training regimen?
When I was young, I would have gotten, or if I was young, I would just be doing some strength and conditioning. I would, if I was sore, I would stay away from the weights. But if I felt good like him, it was a flawless victory. Didn't take any damage. I'd be back to hitting mitts, working on some defensive striking and counter striking drills, and working on some weaknesses. I think that we've got wrestling practice on Mondays at HQ, and I'd probably not jump into that right away, but
Yeah.
I'd probably be hitting some mitts. I'd probably be grappling with no offense, the regular people,
Right.
not the pros, just grappling with some of the make martial arts fun, keep it fun, keep it easy going, but not get back in there with that, like, I'm hungry, gotta get ready and spar and do the practice with the pro. Like, I think that, if you want to stay injury free, so you take like a week or so of kind of just getting back into the groove, and then you just get right back into your normal maintenance training schedule when you're out of camp. It's like where they say, like, it's the grind, as they say. So then you just get back into whatever your normal off camp training schedule is like. But if you're winning a fight in the UFC, I just take like 2 or 3 weeks off period. I just don't go near the gym. Or if I go near the gym, I'm just like kind of teaching jiu-jitsu or training with a couple of the regular guys. I don't even, like, twice a week.
Yeah.
What's like so let's just say like Sal, for example, post fight, you took minimal damage, but I mean still, like, you're catching leg kicks and all that other stuff.
Right.
Like, what is a rehab regimen? Like, are you going home getting an ice bath? Are you leaving there and like going to the hotel and hey, I got to get some nutrition in, and then let me get in this hot tub or something like that? What
After I was wrecked in a lot of the fights, that's what, if I was really jacked up, yeah, that's what I'd be looking to do, those things. Put ice on the appendages of the limbs that were all jacked up, or my head if it was jacked up. But I always liked and appreciated the warm bath.
Yeah.
Just to relax, throw some Epsom salt in there and just chill.
I'm on
But
that ticket.
my brother likes the cold bath. He was telling us in the interview, which everybody needs to check out, he likes the cold plunge. For me, I like the Epsom salt, let's relax bath, and in the meantime I'll spot ice, meaning I will treat my injuries with ice, but only in a more localized setting. But as far as food, yeah, the food that you have post weigh-in, you always get more than you needed. You think you're going to eat all this stuff because you're so hungry, and then your stomach has like shrank.
Right.
So it doesn't want what all you're pumping into it because you haven't been eating very much. So your metabolism is slowing down. It's trying to hold on to the little bit of the nutrients inside of your body. So it's slowing your metabolism. You're not going to the bathroom number 2 like you would normally do. So now when you go to put this food in, since your body has been slowing down and holding on to everything, you can't just like throw food in there and it just goes, all right, now I'm just going back to working normal. So your body's acting like, whoa, what the hell? What are you doing to me? You've been giving me nothing. Now you're just going to flood me.
Yeah.
So it's like you never eat what you thought you were going to eat. It's getting back to what I was saying, was like you always have leftovers.
Right.
And they're great leftovers. So you just kind of go and you snack on your phenomenal granola, and at this point you can eat whatever you want.
Yeah, I was fixing to ask you, what's your personal go-to for post weigh-in and then post-fight food?
They're pretty close to the same because like when I was, fighting all the time, I'm fighting in the big cities.
Right.
So the food is great, so I can find like a local organic spot that is like a higher quality food, and I can get the juices. I can order the juices, and I can order the the quality meats and the sweet potato and the sandwiches or whatever.
So you stay. You don't go off the rails.
Not the night
before. Yeah.
Not I did my proper weigh-in, and then after the fight's over, that night after the fight, I'm happy to eat that healthy food. The healthy food tastes great.
Yeah.
It tastes phenomenal. I don't want to eat Chick-fil-A after a fight. Like I'm like, man, I have this great food at the hotel room.
You don't go dive headfirst off into a pizza or a cheesecake or.
I'm not gonna say it's never happened, but that's more rare. Like okay, I especially when I was younger, after party in Las Vegas. I went to my hotel immediately after the fight. I ate my clean, healthy food. We went to the after party at the nightclub. It's 4 a.m. now. We're walking through the hotel. Now we see the late night pizza spot. Yes, I will go do that, but like that was still not my first stop. You know what I mean?
You still putting healthy food back in because your body's recovering at that point.
And it tastes better.
Yeah, and it does taste better. Yeah,
it tastes better. Like if you go to a legitimate place, we're not doing what bodybuilders used to do with like grilled chicken with nothing in it and broccoli or whatever it is that they like.
White rice.
That's not how people who eat clean eat.
Right.
They have sauces and seasonings and just a higher cut and quality of meat if you choose to eat meat or fish. The utmost quality that's expensive. Like that's how people eat. You eat the good stuff with only the best of ingredients. Eating healthy doesn't mean eating plain. I don't know where that kind of misconception began, but no, you eat good.
I had to make that change because I was 270 pounds before I started jiu-jitsu. So
what are you now?
I walk around at like 175.
That's so you lost 100 pounds from jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Wow.
So but I had to make the change in my mind because like mine for me, like I explain to people all the time that like when you have that conversation of like food activates the same things in your head that heroin does. And so, like, I had to disassociate my relationship with food from, like, I'm sad, I'm going to eat food. I'm stressed, I'm going to eat food. Like, I had to disassociate that. So I ate really, really plain to where I was just fueling my body. And so in my mind, I never thought about food as pleasure at that point until I got control over everything. Now I eat really good food. Like, I eat for taste. But I had to make that change for me personally. Now, not everybody has to do that, but I think that's where that misconception comes from, where people keep being that way. And I'm like, well, no, you just have to change your mentality.
It takes a lot of discipline to do that.
Oh, a ton.
Yeah.
Because eating food that doesn't taste good is not, there's no motivation to do it.
So, and also you get used to what you think tastes good.
Yeah,
because a lot of these poor foods are fucking addictive, just like other bad habits like excessive alcohol, or like you just mentioned, heroin, or like drugs and alcohol,
Cigarettes,
like,
yeah.
Cigarettes, yeah.
like you think that this other food tastes good because that's what you're used to poisoning your body with. Then you eat some like good food, and it's like, whoa,
this tastes good. This is what flavor is.
You don't eat good food and go, this tastes nasty. It's you eat good food. It's like, oh, this does taste pretty good. I can get used to it. Then once you get used to it, you go try to eat that shit you were shoveling in your face before. You get sick. Yeah. You eat half of the meal and your body is like, oh my, what's happening to me? Like, I just tried to drink a cherry Coke. Like, I got through a cup and it hurt my belly.
Wow.
Like I was like, I just don't think that my body reacts to that stuff. It's not like I'll never have a soda. If you go to Whole Foods and you get like the sodas there, they don't do that to your belly.
What are you talking about? The organic soda?
Yeah. Then they taste better. The Dr. Snap at Whole Foods, which is like a Dr. Pepper kind of thing, you know, it's way better than actual Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
That's not like a gimmick. I'm not being paid by fucking Dr. Snap or whoever makes
Whole
Dr.
Foods.
Snap or Whole Foods. Like, drink it. You're going to go, this is the best soda I've ever had.
See,
and
I haven't had a soda in forever. I don't even know if I could drink one.
Yeah, I haven't had
those.
one since like 06.
Well, if you, like, you know those grapefruit and clementine and blackberry Izzy's that Chipotle sells?
Right.
Like, those are carbonated beverages, you know? But you can actually get soda at, like, Whole Foods, and it's carbonated water. It's got some sort of all natural
like agave
ingredients.
Or something in it.
Yes, agave, yeah. And they taste great.
Huh.
But like when you go back to the old stuff. So for instance, sometimes like after a loss, I'll have like a little bit of self-loathing and self-destruction. So I'll go and I'll eat Crystals or I'll eat Chick-fil-A because I hate myself, you know. I'm like I'll go into this weird like punishment, you know,
like self-punishment,
right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, look what I can do. I can eat whatever I want. Look at me. I earned the right to be able to eat $30 in Chick-fil-A by myself in one sitting.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, that's not good for you.
I sat there and knocked out 2 pizzas one time after I lost because I felt bad about myself.
Yeah.
2 extra large pizzas from Papa John's. It was a terrible decision.
I know what I'll do. I'll go get a sack full of Crystals, then I'll get an additional 6 Crystals, and that's a great idea for my body after I've been eating clean for, 4 months.
What was the aftermath of that one?
I just threw up inside of the Shogun bathroom in North Macon. And that was after a knockout loss against Efren Escudero. Yeah. Great times.
Woo!
Let's talk about that.
But let's not. We'll save that. We'll save that for another show. And then, so getting back to the other stuff we got to do, we got to go to the belt ceremony that Pahompa invited us to. It was cool. It was short. It was sweet. He said that he had to postpone it. It was supposed to be in December, but he's cornering guys in the PFL like Natan Schultz, who just won the $1 million for the second year in a row in the lightweight PFL Professional Fight League or Fighters League tournament. He corners him. He corners guys almost every weekend in the UFC. He's traveling all the time. Guy's got no time for his own family. It's like the students is who he dedicates his time to, and the fighters. Like it's pretty amazing. But his family was there to support his wife Juliana, Pedro and Kawan, his 2 boys. They were there too. He promoted a few of the kids, which was cool to see. Right?
It was awesome.
Like you kind of geeked out and marked out on that.
Yeah, I mean, having kids and like wanting them to start a jiu-jitsu career and like stuff like that, and then like watching Pahompa like promote them and then toss them, and like all the kids laughed, and like it was a fun time for especially the kids. Like you can see that they get a lot out of that, and even like watching wrestling today, like all the kids, like I was telling you before, like watching the kids out there, and they don't understand it or anything else, but like Mako does such a great job with allowing them an opportunity to try things in front of everybody, and everybody kind of learns. But yeah, that was cool to see in the belt ceremony. Those kids, like, they don't really understand how important it is and how it's affecting them, but like they're making those connections early on,
Yeah.
If you start late in life, then you're always kind of searching for.
Yeah, and then we got to he promoted a couple of adults after that, like green belts, blue belts, right?
Yeah, that was it.
Nobody higher than that.
Yeah.
No.
Then he put some stripes on some guys, white belts, green belts, blue belts, purple belts. Lot of stripes got handed out, and then we got to get it on, and I just had forgotten just how humid South Florida was.
God, it was so humid.
Because Georgia is humid.
Yeah.
Georgia is humid compared to other states. You go anywhere else, that when you come back to Georgia, your pores are leaking and you're super, just drenched and hot. Even though the temperature will say 75 in the room, you're over there complaining that it's like 95 degrees. Well, here
it was legit 95 degrees in there.
It felt like it was 95 degrees, and we're pouring, and it was hard to play the top. If you were a guard player in that room on that day, it was better for you because the top player just couldn't get traction after about the second round, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But,
round 3 was a slippery ice rink out there.
But
like normally we see that no gi, but usually the gi, I mean, everybody was in the gi, and the gis weren't coming off,
Except for yours.
But it's always like a mop, like it picks up everything on the floor, so it's still kind of slick, but it's not like no gi. And here it was just like the soup, like we were in the soup the whole time.
yeah.
It was fun rounds, though.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
great.
we got some good rounds. You can see some short little highlights from the roll on my Instagram
On the IGTV.
the IGTV. Same for the at Miller Martial Arts Instagram. You can check that out there. We might have some more of that stuff and talking about that on our weekly vlog coming up here in a couple weeks or a week or two, right?
Yeah.
All right, so Isaac's on that. I had a couple little things that I think I wanted to share that wasn't shown in the IGTV clip, talking about a position that I've been working on.
I think it'd be fun on here. We could do like fight companions, kind of, and then we talked about it the other night of like we could start doing like where I film your rolls or people can film you roll. I don't care if I get smashed by you. So like you can smash me and then go back and like describe to people, okay, this is what I was doing. And this is how I was doing, because like it was really fascinating on editing, watching you go through things. I'm like, oh, that's something he taught. Oh, that's something else he taught. This is really interesting. So
yeah, cool. Yeah, that might be something that we'll be doing in the future. But just awesome rounds from the guys at American Top Team West Palm Beach. If you're in that area, Marcos runs a very clean academy. He is the head jiu-jitsu instructor for the pro fighters at HQ in Coconut Creek, and he happens to have his own affiliate academy right in West Palm. He's always been in West Palm. Nice, intimate, but very clean, very good looking academy. And the students, they have a great culture, a lot of respect, a lot of a good foundation. These guys are just an awesome crew. That's where I came up training, not that specific location, but always with Pahumpa at the ATT West Palm. I would always go up there and train with his students. The pros used to go over there on Tuesday nights and do no-gi back in the day when he was on Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard. But it's cool just to go back where you came from, be around the same guys that they're still training with him. And they have a phenomenal instructor. So if you're there, you have a child that wants to get in jiu-jitsu, or you yourself have been thinking about it, think about making the jump to ATT West Palm. But the rolls were good.
Yeah,
and the students are good. It's good to be around the homies.
I really like I told you before, I really like the culture that he brings to it, and like it's a very structured. He's one of the, like Cole was telling me, he's one of the believers in like, hey, white gi is like your dress gi, and then if you want to roll some rounds, like wear a blue gi. That aren't, coming from a military background, like that's cool to me.
Yeah,
that there's levels to this, like we keep saying, but the structure is there for a reason. And like we joked about, I started taking my gi off. It was freaking hot, and we rolled like 4 or 5 rounds. I started taking my gi off, and Pahumpa yells at Cole, because I'm Cole's student, hey, who told this motherfucker he could take his gi off? And I was like, oh shit. And I apologized to Pahumpa like 3 times, and of course he was joking, but in a serious manner.
You appreciated that.
But I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because I want to be told when I'm wrong,
Right.
So I think, like I said, the culture there is phenomenal, and I know that's where you kind of carry that back over. Like, you know, everybody, just like everybody comes on the mat, they address the black belt first. You know, give them the greeting and go from there. And like, you know, that was very apparent.
Yeah. And for me, it was really cool. It was great to roll with all the guys. I've known not all those people specifically, especially like the lower ranks, but the guys that are coming up as purple and brown belts and the black belts. I've known all those guys for a long time. It was cool to roll with everybody, but it's always really special for me to get to roll with Pahumpa. I mean, he has made the biggest influence on my jiu-jitsu career. I'm a black belt under him, of course, but every time I get to roll with him is like, I feel like I learn so much from it. Second of all, it just kind of takes me back in time. You know, you get what is that when you like long for the past? What do they call that? What's the word?
Longing for the past.
Yeah.
Like when you're nostalgic.
Nostalgic, yeah. So it takes me back to the days where he was training for MMA fights, and he was smashing me so bad, and then like I finally got to where it's like, he's still smashing me bad, like tap me in 5 seconds, like, but it just, I remember kind of like the moment where I started to be able to actually be able to give him work, because there was a period of time where it was like he was just entertaining himself with how bad he was destroying me,
just breakdancing on top of you, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
But then it got to a point where I wasn't giving him hard rolls, by the way. It was just, I was an actual functional training partner for him. And that
he had to go through his game plan to attack you, basically, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And he had to work his stuff, and I could give him good looks, and I could keep him honest. That's basically what it means.
Yeah.
And it just kind of took me down that kind of road, and when he passed my guard, it actually makes me smile, because he's been passing my guard with the same guard pass. It's not like I don't know what he's going to do to me. Not that he can't learn new tricks or I can't learn new tricks, but because he will break out some new stuff on me sometimes too. But that arm lock he tapped me in 5 seconds with, we have done that 100 times, that same transition. And I know what happens after I defend it, and then I know what happens after that. We've done that dance a million times, but he just like tapped me with it, and I smiled. It like made me happy. I'm like, like kind of just like we were just talking about, nostalgic, longing for the past, just taking me down memory lane. You know, really special. And we finished that up, went home, took a rest, went to the Rebel House. The meal was fire.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been doing kind of like the husband and wife thing when we go on trips. Like, there's something that we both want. We end up ordering separate and then cutting it in half and splitting it.
Yeah.
And so I wanted the prime rib, and Cole wanted it too, so he got it. But then I got the this lamb meatloaf that was phenomenal. Yeah. And so we split it like husband and wife, and then it was awesome. We had that. We had dessert. We had some drinks.
And I had a sweet potato pie with a marshmallow topping glaze on it that was out of this world. Had a couple like quality drinks. Isaac, what'd you have?
I had the Mushu vegan.
Okay.
And
what was it? I don't know what Mushu is.
I don't either. But it was it was a bunch of like onions and tomatoes and mushrooms and something else all chopped up and like stir fried together, and then they gave me a bunch of lettuce wraps, my rabbit food, to like pile in there. I misinterpreted what they were saying. I thought that it meant that the lettuce wraps came made, and I was a little disappointed. And then when it got there, it was like fajitas with lettuce, and turned out to be absolutely delicious. So I was very pleasantly surprised by that.
What you guys had the same dessert? What was it?
It was that flourless chocolate cake. You did all the coverings, so you probably have a better recap of it, Joe.
What was that? Like the cream?
Yeah, it was like a cream-based sauce, but it was almost like a vanilla bean, and then they gave you a scoop of vanilla bean ice cream, but it was like a cream-style sauce. I just dumped it all on they gave you a big, thick brownie. I dumped it all on top of there, just smothered everything, and it was awesome. It
was a good meal. It was, and it was a fun like little place. Like the my whole experience so far has been awesome. Like the places you've suggested and you've gone to, were those places like there was that, and then the taco place we went to today? Are these places you ate at like all the time when you were training down here?
That's why we went there. Because we were staying in Boynton, but we went to Boca, which is close, by the way. People like all these cities are connected to each other. So I just went to Boca, which was like the old stomping grounds, and Deerfield Beach. We went to El Jefe Luchador today. One of the coolest kind of street style, Tex-Mex style.
Probably one of the better tacos I've had
The
in a
best
while.
tacos.
Lower cost food places you could go. But Rebel House is, I don't want to call it fine dining and think that you're going to leave with a $200 bill for 2 people, because that's not the case. But
It's
like
bougie though.
you could, yeah, it's a little bit bougie, but it's cool. It's very like different types of people. It's potpourri of people. I tell people, like, you'll see some guys from
potpourri of people.
Yeah, you'll see.
That's amazing.
You'll see these old 70-year-old, clearly New Jersey Italian mobsters definitely sitting at a table. Then you'll see some ratty looking punk rocker who's wearing a cut off t-shirt tattooed from the neck down, which I don't have any problem with that. Just illustrating that there's a lot of different type of people that can be at this place, and they can all feel comfortable in their own skin. We saw a few yuppies there, like dudes in suits just got off their corporate job.
Yeah.
We saw some girls that were dressed to the nines, like they were going somewhere fancy. Maybe they did before, or they were going after.
But it's right there on the strip of like
Palmetto and US 1.
Yeah, so it's
right
like,
next to Meisner Park.
It's like Rodeo Drive for South Florida.
Yeah, Meisner Park is fancy. It's right next to Meisner Park. I remember just being there back in the day. I got hammered. I became friends with the manager at the time that was there. And a few times when I wanted to stay and just get wasted, they would shut down, and I could come in and drink with them. And I would bring the Vespa in through those folding garage doors.
The roll top door.
I would park it inside, and then we would maybe go to Meisner Park or something like that. Then I'd come and get back on the Vespa. Yeah, it was good time. So went there last night, crushed, watched the Jay and Silent Bob reboot movie last night.
That was not a disappointment at all.
Yeah, very funny. This morning, woke up. I wanted to get some training in, but we really jumped in with that interview with Micah. It ran longer than I expected. This is my first time doing anything like that. I wasn't sure if it was going to last 40 minutes or max of an hour. And how long did you say we went?
An hour and 55 minutes.
No, okay, just under 2 hours.
Just under 2 hours.
Yeah, but we talked about some awesome content.
It was a deep dive. It was fun. It was fun. It was fascinating. And, like, hearing what we were talking about earlier, like, hearing the background of you two and, like, how, like, that time period of his life and going through that, and, like, as someone who's a fighter who's coming up through the ranks, understanding that guys that, quote-unquote, are at the top struggle with a lot of the same stuff that I do. Of, like, same thought processes, same, like, so, like, it's really nice to see that guys out in front of you, and, like you were saying, your brother having the mentality of, like, I'm cool with being broke as long as I get to do this. And, like, that mentality that I think I walked away from that podcast with is something that, like, I think a lot of people can get good out of that.
Yeah, no doubt. And another cool thing is just, obviously, that was your first time being inside of American Top Team HQ.
That's the first time being at HQ, yeah.
So when we went in, first of all, the place is just amazing. And you can check on the vlog, and you'll be able to see, like, a little walkthrough of what the place looks like and the level of champions that do train there. But we walked in on a Sunday, and Steve Mocco, a guy that was an Olympic wrestler, a 2-time national champion, 2-time runner-up, wrestled for Iowa, wrestled for Oklahoma State, wrestled for the United States Olympic team. He's out there running his own wrestling program in South Florida where these kids can come wrestle. There's 50 kids on the mat, and they are getting it on. And he runs a legitimate wrestling practice.
Oh, dude, that kid practice looked like a rough, like, it would make an adult tired.
They had kids from 5 all the way going up into like young men.
Yeah, definitely high school seniors out there, like the heavyweights that we watched for a little bit.
They were probably like, what, 17, 18?
Yeah.
Those two heavyweights, yeah.
But it's just incredible the resources that can be afforded to you based on where you live or what have you, or what you're willing to do to sacrifice to get up and move yourself to a place like that. But on a Sunday,
Yeah, on a Sunday, that's what was crazy.
He's not resting. He's the head wrestling coach for all the pros. He works Monday through Saturday. And what's he doing on Sunday? Working. And what's he doing? He's making an impact helping the kids, which is really cool to see. And it's really cool to see these kids getting that level of education from 5 years old all the way up.
Yeah, and it's cool that he's on the mat, like actually, I mean, helping out the 5-year-olds all the way up to the high school kids. And he just makes his rounds with, 4 or 5 other instructors, and just makes his rounds, stops at every person like, all right, show me. I mean, today they're doing high crotch stuff. He's like, hey, show me the high crotch, and then he was explaining what they're doing wrong. And like even the 5-year-olds, where they don't even understand the position yet. They're getting that level of coaching.
Yeah, he was saying.
What was the comment he said to you when that little kid came up and asked him about it? Yeah.
Right. They were doing actual scenarios that played out, from a shot where the guy kind of defends or you don't complete the shot. Then you're moving to a different scenario. But he's got the kids split up to where they're beginner, intermediate, advanced, or whether they're teens, middle school, 5-year-old. He's got them all split up. And he just came over to me and he said, you know what, like these little kids, the kid just came up, he don't get it, and that's fine. Just as long as he's getting a good look at a single or a high crotch, I don't need him to be able to do anything remotely that even looks like wrestling. But if he can figure out how to do a takedown, that's the progress we want. And that's cool, because everybody's going to have different goals. At that young age, he's not trying to make a 5-year-old become a national champion. He's trying to teach a 5-year-old what wrestling is and give them an education, give them something fun to do.
Yeah, that 5-year-old might become a world champion because they're getting that kind of attention.
That's correct. But he's not trying to send
Right.
a 5-year-old to the I don't even
Junior
know what they
Olympics
do, like
or whatever,
the
yeah.
USA wrestling thing for the small kids. Like, that's not what that is. It's all right. Let's teach these kids what wrestling is, and let's just get them wrestling. If we can just get them wrestling, they'll eventually get to where they figure it out.
Yeah.
You made a comment while we were standing there too that like the wrestling community, and like in my experience, some of the jiu-jitsu communities this way too. But like, I see what you're saying, and the wrestling community really, really gives back.
Man, they really look after their own.
Yeah,
Like if you're a wrestler,
right?
and you find out another guy was a wrestler, you just, you have this level of respect or camaraderie because you know that person went through hard stuff.
The same thing that you did, yeah.
Hard workouts. But, and by the way, people out there, I never wrestled. I did as a fighter. I was doing Mako's practices and Kami's practices, Daryl Golar's practices, and Jason Kelly's practices. I did wrestle, but not in high school or middle school or that type of thing. But these guys that came up like that, they all talk about how hard it was, especially in the college level, how hard the practices were, how hard it was at the Olympic Training Center. And when you've got a guy who went to the OTC and was putting in workouts on the wrestling mat, that those were the kind of workouts that most people will never go down that rabbit hole to find out, what type of medal that they have.
Yeah, yeah.
So wrestlers have that level of respect. Wrestlers are always trying to give back to the sport of wrestling. That's why wrestling camps are cheap. Wrestling shoes are cheap. Wrestling entry fees to tournaments are cheap. And if you want to wrestle somewhere, it's cheap. So if you want to make the biggest amount of impact and you can't afford jiu-jitsu or taekwondo is not for your kid, and you don't think that you want your kid getting hit in the head with boxing, I don't blame you. I wouldn't want my son having that either. Then get your kid wrestling.
Yeah.
Wrestling develops and reveals character, and it will teach them how to make quick-minute decisions. It will teach them how to overcome hard things. It will make them mentally more resilient and tough and understand the whole concept of perseverance.
I think it teaches you how to lose. Because there's not very many wrestlers I know that haven't at least experienced what it's like to suck.
Oh, Oh, what was Micah saying in the podcast today? That
exactly.
His first year, he did awful.
Just got smashed.
And everybody says that. Like, I was just listening to a podcast or I was on Flow Wrestling, and I was watching some documentaries, and it was Jaden Cox, another Olympic wrestler.
Yeah.
He was talking about his first year. His first year he didn't do good.
But that kind of gives you that drive, and that's where you find those special people that they go back and they're like, oh, no, I'm not going to suck next year. I'm going to figure this out.
Right.
And wrestling's one of those things, too, that, like, I think that you can't become, like, you can never replace starting off as a wrestler as a kid. But wrestling's something that if you show up every day and you go to practice and you do the things they tell you, you can get decent at it. Like, you can learn how to wrestle. But like I said, I don't think wrestlers walk different, talk different, carry themselves different. But
very much so.
Yeah.
And then, so if you guys are in South Florida, obviously check out American Top Team. Check out Steve's wrestling program, Mako Wrestling. It's at Mako Wrestling on Instagram. He's coming out with a cool little foot sweep and hand fighting series on a DVD instructional, which I can't wait to get a hold of. And I think this summer, when we unveil the new academy for its kind of grand reopening, we're going to bring in Coach Steve, and maybe he can show us some of the cool stuff from that foot sweeps and hand fighting series that he's getting ready to put out.
That'd be super fun.
Yeah, that would be super cool. What else did we do? Had lunch. Went to El Jefe
Got
Luchador.
tacos.
Yeah.
Got some tacos. Got to see Blake
That dude was hilarious.
from the tag team Cash and Flash. My long time, one of my best friends, a guy that has been all over the world with me. Always had my back. Loyal as can be. Good training partner. Great corner man. Great hype man. Great comedian. Great professional wrestler. He's one half of Cash and Flash.
Okay. So, like, professional wrestling, do you know a lot of guys that have made that crossover?
I know a few.
Yeah.
King Mo is doing his thing. He's been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, another thing about Mako I wanted to bring up was, if you guys want to find out who he is, a little bit about his accolades, of course, Wikipedia or any of that stuff will do, but there was you can see him when he's really young, when he's a true freshman at Iowa, and he is on this, it was an ESPN series, I think it was called The Program. It's on YouTube for free. It's like a little 6-part
I watched that
series, and he's a true freshman, and you get like it's meant to showcase the program of Iowa Hawkeye Wrestling and how they have won more wrestling titles than any other world championship team, professional or collegiate. And you get to see him and what he was like when he was a young man. Another thing is, on Flow Wrestling, there's a 2-part documentary series called Mako. And you can see a bunch of his matches on Flow Wrestling as well. But both of those documentaries, Mako and The Program on the Iowa Hawkeyes. He also wrestled at Oklahoma State University. So we're talking about an amazing pedigree. But go check him out and see what he was like and what life was like for him coming up, because you get definitely an insight into that in his documentary Mako.
Can we find an exit so I can pee, please? Maybe.
Yeah. But had awesome tacos. El Jefe Luchador.
Those were delicious tacos. What did you have, Cole?
I had the El Don Hamburgueso, which is a half of a hamburger patty, has some lettuce and some diced tomato. I think it may have diced onions too. And it has some sort of sauce that they put on it. And it's a soft shell. It's a hard shell with a
soft shell around it.
Wrapped and cooked into it as well. And then I had the Korean barbecue taco. And I had a smoking bowl, which is like a burrito bowl, but it had like the Frito style chips in it and the rice, and it has kind of a little bit of a hotter barbecue style sauce in it, grilled chicken, guacamole's in it. It was amazing.
It looked delicious. I did the vegan tacos, and they were pretty awesome.
Yeah, good.
Have you ever tried grilled cactus? I'd never tried grilled cactus till like a month ago.
No.
It is.
I didn't know you could eat it.
It is delicious. It is very good. It's kind of like it replaces in tacos. That's the first place I had it that time, and then I had it there, and it kind of replaces the consistency of fish.
Huh.
Yeah, kind of like they cut it real thin and slice it like long ways, and so it kind of mimics a fish fillet. Pretty tasty. Joe, what'd you get? Because you were really focusing on the lunchtime in the last podcast.
So I got 2 El Dons, which is the same ones that Cole got, the Don Hamburguesas. And then I got the their salad that's
The El Jardinero.
El Jardinero. And it's like the same thing. It's just greens and tortilla chips and chicken and pico and salsa and all that stuff mixed into a giant bowl.
And you can make it heavyweight for like $1 extra, and it adds rice to it.
Yeah. But we ate there like 3 weeks ago.
Right.
And it was...
You've been thinking about it ever since.
Oh, man. I came back talking about it, and I was so excited to get
the
back
whole
there
way
today.
down you were talking about it.
Yeah.
He's just like, we need to bring this back to Middle Georgia somehow.
Yeah. The taco, it's just like... It's a $4 taco, and you're like, okay. I mean, we have the taco shed in Warner Robins, which is great,
It's great.
but they don't have the Don.
Nope.
And I don't know. It's one of those places, like, it's a staple. Like you said, you guys used to eat there all the time, but it's like, man. And they own Charm City Burger, and they own the Rebel.
Yeah,
And,
I guess Rebel House just got a new owner, but the owner that did own it owned the Rebel House, Charm City Burger Company, and El Jefe Luchador. And those were my 3 favorite places to eat.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see why, because like I said, it's like it's an experience when you go, but the food is not expensive. You're talking like gourmet platters of food and stuff for, $20.
Yeah, if you want appetizer and an entree and dessert at the Rebel House and drinks, it's like $40.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that anywhere else.
Yeah. Even ordering something like a 14-ounce prime rib.
Plus
Bone-in
the
prime
playlists
rib.
are off the change.
Yeah.
The playlist
Oh, yeah.
at
The Rebel House.
the Rebel House.
Yeah, the music was dope. It was all, they were playing punk rock.
Yeah,
right?
like punk rock,
Classic punk rock.
90s.
Yeah.
Well, they had some Ramones, and they had...
Yeah. They
you
threw
know,
it back a couple times.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that. I mean, that's South Florida, but the kind of vibe of, the roll top doors and everything's inside outside. You kind of float in between, and then, good mixture of people. I didn't feel uncomfortable, which I was kind of worried about, like dress attire, because we were tired in shirts and shorts and sandals, and like people are dressed up like on first dates and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, if we went to Miami and we're trying to go to the clubs in Miami,
Yeah,
you
no,
got to be dressed to the nines.
I've heard you've got to have at the very least like nice shoes,
Shirt
nice
tucked in.
shirt,
No jeans.
no hats. Like I left my hat in the truck because I thought we were going into a place like that, and then I saw you had your hat on, and I threw my hat back on.
There you go.
I just follow you. I follow suit on what you were doing. Oh, and we almost forgot about what like half the vlog's gonna be about is we got to experience the Tesla coming to us.
Oh shit! Yeah, that was pretty cool. When we went to the fights. We went to the
Right.
M1 Global fights, and as we were leaving, it was raining a little bit. It was drizzling, and nobody wanted to go to the vehicle in the rain. And Micah hit the summon button on his Tesla, and the Tesla came out of the parking lot, and it came and picked us up with nobody in the driver's seat.
Pulled out of the parking space, went through a busy parking lot. Everyone was leaving.
Yeah.
That was nuts.
And then as it was coming to get us, there was a guy going the other way, like into the parking lot, and he had to come to like a stop at the speed bump, and he came to a complete stop as the Tesla went over the speed bump, and he looked and saw that there was nobody in the driver's seat. So that was cool. Like this guy was like freaking out that he saw nobody driving this vehicle.
Was that all of our first time riding a Tesla?
That was
It's mine.
Yeah, it's my first.
second time.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it was a cool experience.
I did not save myself.
I like
for
the
that
way it
trip.
accelerates. It doesn't feel like a gas-driven car.
No,
Not at all. It's like instantaneous.
Yeah.
I watched when we got on the interstate, and I was like, wow, that was the fastest I've ever seen somebody get to like 75, 80, like just getting on the interstate.
Even with the speed, like when how a gas-powered car sucks you back into the seat,
Right.
you can feel like the whip and the acceleration or G or whatever.
Yeah.
But you don't feel like that in the
No.
Tesla.
You just look down and you're like, oh, we're going fast.
Right. Correct.
But it'll suck you into the seat. When he punched it a couple times getting on the interstate, we were like,
It's
oh.
still, but it wasn't the same.
Yeah, it's not the same. No.
It's not like an exotic car that like puts you into the seat. Well, and
Any
he
gas-powered car.
Yeah,
If I stepped
yeah.
on this right now, you
Yeah,
get more.
yeah,
You
yeah.
get more of a jerk,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
then we wouldn't even be accelerating at the same
Yeah,
rate.
it was more like a roller coaster. Like, when it goes 0
Uh-huh.
to 60 and you're just, it was kind of like that.
There's no buildup. Isn't
Yeah.
that the whole thing about the electric motors is that it doesn't have to like ramp up to get go. It's just gone. Like
there's no waiting for the air, creating and then the air fuel mixture, and then the spark, and then
The combustion.
the combustion, then going out. There's none of that.
right.
Going out the exhaust. So it really. I've been saying that I want the Cybertruck, and now I really want the 3-engine all-wheel drive, 0 to 60 in under 2.9 seconds Cybertruck.
That's insane.
Tesla, let's
Hit-
make a deal.
Hit up Elon. He can come on the podcast and then you can have him a Cybertruck afterwards.
You can get yours ordered for $100.
Yeah, the one I want, is probably gonna be ready 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the one that comes with the ATV? Because the ATV
That's the one
is
that's
all I want.
the option to come with the ATV.
All I want is the ATV.
Or they have the option to come with the ATV.
Looks like something off Halo.
Yeah, that's what was cool. We looked at it last night, and like, it is directly from Halo.
What I don't get is, so people that want a truck that can do off-road things like how it's portrayed in the footage,
Right.
like you possibly might get stuck doing your off-roading and doing that stuff. But if you get stuck, you can't, or you're running out of gas, you can't get out of there. So
Wait.
what's going to get you out of the woods?
You talking about like if you get the
you're-
Cybertruck?
Yeah,
Oh,
if you
you
get the
saying like if you
Cybertruck
have
and
an
you get a
ATV.
drained battery and you're stuck in the woods, how are you getting out of the woods?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you should have checked your battery before you got out in the middle of the woods.
Okay, but what if something happens? Like
Touche.
you get stuck and then you're stuck out there and then they're like, well, we'll send somebody out to get you, and then you're in there.
They got to have some, like, there's got to be some type of protocol where it's like, hey, you can go buy a battery and attach it somehow, and like this will give you
You're gonna go to the
50 miles or
You're gonna
something.
go to the campground with the electric car juice machine near it.
Yeah.
Those don't exist. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's got to be something that they've put in there. Like once it goes to zero, hey, you've got, because like an emergency tank, you can go and put that in the bed of your truck.
Right.
There's 5 gallons of gas.
Yeah.
Got to be something like you buy this box for this amount of money, and it'll give
And
you
it's like a
25 mile.
supercharger. Yeah. Just get you out of wherever you are.
We probably sound so ignorant. We need to become
completely.
more educated about the Tesla model.
Y'all could keep talking about it, and I could. What is it? Cooter, look it up.
Yeah. Cooter, look it up.
Cooter.
Working on it.
It was interesting though, like actually sitting down and talking to Micah about it, and it's, it's an investment that you're making, but like look at it. We rolled around in that all weekend, and he charged it last night and was good to go.
It was so comfortable, and being able to do the music selection was fun.
Yeah, it's like having an iPad right there, or it is a giant iPad.
It was basically karaoke night
Yeah,
in
everybody was
Tesla.
picking songs, and it was driving itself, which was weird. It's usually like when you drive in a car and your buddy's like doing something else and you're kind of like watching and reach over and hold on to the wheel. No, you don't have to do that.
It was incredibly accurate on the voice recognition. I was impressed with that because my stuff that's voice recognition that I use while I'm driving doesn't work, and it just makes it more dangerous, honestly.
He said that the battery life for those, that was my big question, because lithium batteries are expensive. And to change them, it's got to be expensive, especially in a Tesla. And he was like, nah, batteries run you like $6,000. I was like, okay, well, how often do you have to change those? He's like, supposedly they're supposed to run for 300,000 miles. So literally,
Wow.
you're getting the lifetime of a normal gas-driven vehicle.
No, dude. What normal?
Well, I mean,
normal gas-driven engine have you seen with 300,000 miles?
Toyota,
Toyota. Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Honda.
Tacoma. Take me to Georgia. Like, it's not doing that. Like, no. I'm not saying cars that are capable. Normal means that they're
Right,
everywhere.
right,
Normal means that they're
Yeah,
everywhere.
You're right.
What normal $300,000 or 300,000 mile cars do you see out there? They're not. They're
Right.
few and far between.
Yeah.
Because people don't take care of them. Now, capable of 300,000 miles, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Honda, this
But
Tacoma.
then you're looking at transmissions and whatever else that comes along the line.
I don't know what you're talking about. My Toyota Camry will run for 250,000 miles and one oil change. That's what I'm banking on, at least.
But he said the big investment is tires. Like every Tesla owner, that's what they go back to. It's like, oh man, I gotta put tires on it.
Huh.
Well, and then like you have the thing about the engines or the motors are you don't have any of the maintenance that you have to deal with in a gas burner, and that's really what I've talked to the people that own them. Like that's where you see a huge difference in your like you don't have to go to the mechanic every couple months or whatever if you're not somebody who can do it yourself.
Yeah,
But-
no oil changes, stuff like that.
What interests
Yeah.
me is if the people can work on it themselves. Like there's a couple guys that you can find on YouTube that like have started that culture of being able to work on the Tesla yourself, and that's been kind of interesting because like there aren't just Joe Blow mechanics in the middle of nowhere that are working on them yet.
That's one thing we didn't get to do is go by the Tesla. I don't know if you call it a dealership or if you call it a store, but in the Boca Raton Mall,
really?
there is a Tesla store.
I didn't know that.
Dealership right inside.
We should have went there so you could get one of those cables.
What we need is more time,
Yeah.
which means that
Time.
we'll have to come back here,
and do it again and again
and we will.
and again.
Yeah, shout out to the Creepy Weasel for letting us stay at his house.
Creepy Weasel, Steve Montgomery, UFC veteran, tough American Top Team versus Black Zillions vet. You are awesome. Thank you for the hospitality, letting us crash with you and Roger, even though you weren't home. You're the man.
On Super Bowl weekend.
Super Bowl weekend, I completely forgot that it was Super Bowl weekend and that the Super Bowl was in Miami. And I go to get the Airbnb. The cheapest one is $450. Cheapest. A night. And the expensive one was $1,500 a night.
Woo! Coming in with that Conor McGregor money.
And a hotel next to Creek was $279 a night. And I just decided I don't want to do that. So Steve told us, a couple weeks ago we could
Yeah.
stay. So I hit him up for the offer. He came through.
His bed was really comfortable.
He was actually really upset if you didn't ask.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. He did kind of get upset.
Yeah.
So all in all, a good trip.
Great trip.
Good trip. My first trip to the ATTHQ. My first trip hanging out with you guys. I had fun.
Yeah, it was
I enjoyed
great.
it. I got a nickname from your brother.
Thanks, Mike.
That's right.
Thanks, Micah. I'm now Cooter.
Now, as far as the podcast is concerned, he's going to always be Cooter.
Yep, I'm Cooter. That's
And
one. Heck
what's
of
going
a-
on this week? We got boxing at Kingdom Boxing. Awesome dudes in Warner Robins. We're going to have a couple of the pros training out there tomorrow. Myself, going to be working with Coach Sergio and Jesse James Wallace, getting ready for a fight coming up. We'll be featuring some of the stuff that he's got going for his training camp in preparation for his bout on March 8th or 7th. It's that weekend, though. I believe Lathan is working tomorrow, so he won't be able to make it. But Lindsey Jones, another professional MMA fighter, he should be there tomorrow working boxing with us. I've got a meeting in the morning on Robbins Air Force Base with the Fifth Mob guys, talk about evaluation and program progress report with where we're at. Very happy with those guys. Motivated, stellar airmen. And we'll just get back to doing what we do at Miller Martial Arts, crushing it all day, every day.
all day. The Instagram. We've already plugged the Instagram for Miller Martial Arts. This is gonna live on YouTube and anywhere you download podcasts, by the way. So, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, whatever.
Word. All right.
Cool.
Appreciate you guys listening. We're out.